All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the Monday Morning Mindset Podcast. Paul McLean here, and as always, it is an honor and a privilege to speak to you each and every week. I hope that this podcast is bringing you great value. My desire each and every week, especially the weeks that we have guests on, is to sit back, look at the organization, look at the company, and say who can hop on here and just really impact you, give you some great perspective, help you level up your thought process, your mindset. And today, I'm confident that we're going to be able to do that as we've got Caleb Mann on. Caleb, good to have you on, brother.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, hey, man, and I know you're sitting in your brand new apartment you just moved into, so congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. It's not just any apartment. You say that out here where I live in the high desert, you're like, well, I mean, dude, like you're on Thunderbird. It's in the hood. You're 5 minutes away from the beach, and so you're right there in a beautiful location. And I really want to unpack, from start to finish. Obviously, you didn't start out there when you got in this business. Now you're, continuing to level up and grow your organization. Your issue paid volume each month is about what is it? 40, 50?
Yeah, but between 40 and 50,000 ish paid a month is the average right now.
Okay. And how long have you been in the business for?
It's been about 2 years and 2 months.
Okay. 2 years, 2 months. And what's your age now?
I just turned 23 in December.
22 December. So what is it? December what? What's your birthday?
29th.
29th. Okay. I'm the fourth. So I want to see
Nice.
if we're the same date. All right. So just turned 22, got in the business probably right about 19 then. Talk about
20.
that. Were you 19 or 20?
I was 20. Yeah.
20. Okay. Let's go back to day one. When you got into business, how did you get exposed to the opportunity? Where were you at that point in time? If you could kind of go back and reflect, like mindset, expectation, your greatest struggle, kind of start back with day one. And then, guys, we're going to unpack some really great concepts that I'm positive are going to really make a big difference. But I want Caleb to kind of share about your story. Where did you start? What were the struggles? Where was your mindset, expectation? Kind of start there.
Yeah. So when I first started, I actually lived in a three-bedroom apartment with four dudes. So it was me and a friend in our own room, and we had a two other people in a different room together. I did construction for about 2 years, and then I did appointment setting for solar guys out in California. So we were in the business for about 6 months doing solar appointments. I got into the insurance space. Holly Newton, she kind of was talking to me and her brother about it, Kelly Vincent. And we didn't believe in the business because of how much she was making. So I didn't like, as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, I didn't think you could make over 20, 30K a month in, deposits. So we didn't do it for about 6 months. We just did the solar business, setting appointments. And I guess one day she kept sending her statements for like 6, 7 months. Every month she'd send her bank statements. And then finally we were like, okay, maybe like, it might be possible. So we actually took the test. I passed it my second time. Kelly passed it his 19th time. So
Are you are
it
you
took,
telling the truth or are you lying?
it took him a long time to pass it, but he did.
That is
Uh,
awesome. I like Kelly even more now. We got to get him on to talk about persistency.
yeah, yeah. Took him
That's
a long
awesome.
time.
So
Uh,
you got connected by Kelly. Kelly was a
yeah.
roommate of yours. How did you know Kelly?
We met in college in 2020, I think. I went to college in Pensacola, Florida. I dropped out my first semester. He did too. So we didn't have anywhere to go. Like I said, his sister was sending us bank statements of what she was making, but we just didn't take the steps. Even Kelly didn't believe it in his own sister. So why would I? So it didn't make sense.
But there was
Um,
a point in time where you're finally like, okay, the evidence is so overwhelming. Like maybe she's actually making money. Maybe this will actually work.
because it took so long for us to decide to switch over. So it was like it took over 7, 8 months for us to actually believe in it. Even once we believed in it, it still took us another 6 months to pass the test because we didn't believe in ourselves that we could actually make that kind of money like she is. So it took a while for us, but we're here now.
Man, a couple points I want to highlight real quick because there's already been some great gold that's been dropped. One is the fact that Holly didn't stop sending her bank statements when you guys didn't respond. she continued to send them. And I think oftentimes we're like, oh, that person's not interested. I already sent them a statement, already got them, sent them the overview video on the webinar. I've already kind of had a brief conversation. They're not interested. Well, no, no, no. They're not interested now, but maybe like you said, Caleb, their belief is not at a level where they really think that what you're doing is real. So
Yep.
step one, everybody always has to answer this question for themselves is this even real? Like is this just a bunch of crap or is it real? After all that time, you guys finally said, "All right, I think it's a real deal. I think this is real. I mean, like these are a lot of bank statements. This has been pretty consistent." And so when you're recruiting for anybody on here and you're making money, my question to you is who are you sending your bank statement to? And if you say no one, the question is who should you be sending your bank statement to? Not just a post on social media, which does help because, again, it's not showboating. You're exposing people to an opportunity that can change their life. And if you know that the number one hindrance is their belief that this thing is real, what's going to help them come to the realization that it is real? Well, it's
Yeah.
going to be consistency of them showing, them seeing you make money. So, who, in addition to social media, can you be direct messaging and saying, take a look at this? If I could do it, I think you could do it. And then not giving up. Now, did you guys ever say, hey, Holly, please stop sending your bank statement? I don't care and I don't want to see it. Did you ever do that?
I don't think so. No. We
So
just like
if
we
you
would just
did,
look at
though,
it and then just talk about it and then just like kind of let it go. We just kind of forget about it.
well, if you guys did say, "Hey, stop sending it to me," she probably would have stopped sending it to you. But because you didn't say stop sending it to me, she didn't stop sending it to you. And so then you believed it was real. Now, I love what you said the second point was that you had to get to a place where you thought you could do it. Because that's people's questions.
Yep.
Is this real? Do I want to do this? I mean, because if it's not real, I don't want to do it. And if this is real, can I do this? Is this something that I can be successful at? What helped you get to a point where you started to believe like I could do this thing? What was the catalyst? What was the breakthrough?
I guess the fact that she is actually a pastor's wife and has two kids and she was making that kind of money, I was like why can't I do that? Like I'm in college, I dropped out, I'm doing construction, like there should be no reason why I can't do the same thing. So I think it just took me it just took me a long time just to like just try it out, just look into it. Obviously now when I talk to people, it's like when I'm trying to get them into the business, I had the same struggles that almost everybody else does. So it's like, yes, I see where you're coming from, but if there's no perfect time to get into anything, all right, you just got to take the steps to get into it. So if you kind of keep waiting, you might not ever do it, or you might miss the opportunity. So I just had to go for it.
Man, I love that. That's so good. So what's the if you're looking back and you say this was the catalyst that kind of helped enhance my belief. And obviously when you first got started, it took a certain level of belief for you to take your first step, right? But I would assume and think to believe that throughout the process of the last 2 years, there's been certain points in your career where you feel like your belief just gets heightened. There's something that really feeds your belief, and that's what leads you to taking the necessary action to move the needle to go after your goal. So I want you to kind of talk about that. Like, I don't know if that's a conference you went to, repetition of message of getting on calls consistently, whatever that is. But what are some turning points and breakthrough moments where your belief was just really grown in a way where it caused you to take the next best move and get uncomfortable?
I would say in the beginning, in the business when I first started, it was seeing the actual deposits hitting my bank. That obviously you need that like immediate like pretty soon, otherwise you're gonna just quit the business or not believe in it. So when I first started, saw a couple bank statements, bank deposits, I was like, okay, like this is real. All I need to do is call more people, have more conversations, and then I'm gonna get more deposits. That was the first kind of catalyst of how I believed in myself more to go after my goals. The next step was seeing that, like going to convention. I went to convention twice before I even got my license. Once was in Miami, once it was in Texas. And I went to them because obviously Holly was sending bank statements. So like and her brother, and I was friends with her brother, so she wanted us to come. She would pay for the ticket, and we saw the money that was being built was being made, so we went to it anyways. But going to convention is definitely a big thing because you learn so much and you see people just like yourself going up on stage, making $500,000 a year. They're no better than you are, right? No one's special. Some people are special, I guess, but most people aren't special. You have to learn something and take time and put it into it to actually be successful and lead by example. So I think just going to convention, listening to people, seeing that it actually changed people's lives, and then seeing it change my own life was a big thing.
Man, that's so good. It's kind of like, evidence is the best belief builder, right? Like if you can get some evidence quickly and then you can hold on to that and stack some successes. Now you can go back and say, even if I had a bad week, I made a couple closes when I was at my worst. Like I always tell people, dude, you're the worst you're going to be right now. Like Caleb, you're going to be a lot better in a year or 2 years if you continue to plug into the system. You continue to ask good questions. You continue to go to the events and conferences. You're going to continue to develop. You're going to continue to refine yourself. You're going to continue to enhance your thought process, and it's going to lead you to another level. And so, the thing that was encouraging to me, it was, dude, I'm the worst I'm ever going to be right now. And so, if you can go out and make a sell your first week and you suck, like you're terrible because you just got started, that should be pretty invigorating for where you can go and how far you can go. And
Yep.
so I love that. You really kind of looked at the evidence of I'm getting some sales, and then you got around other people that were having some great success, and you didn't put them on a pedestal and say, well, that person is, 10 years older than I am. That's why they're having great success. Or that person has got a sales background. My construction background is why I can't see the success. I did construction for 2 years. This person was knocking doors for 2 years. That's why they're successful. You didn't do that. You thought like, well, heck, if they could do it, then I can do it. I just need to do what they're doing. And so if they're issue paying 50 and I'm issue paying 20 at the time, all I need to do is what they're doing, and I'm going to be able to go out there and get that outcome. And I think that's an important thing for everybody on here to ask yourself, like, have you put testimonials that are intended to help empower you and equip you that could be used for your good? Have you used those for your good, or have you let those testimonies be like put them on a pedestal to make you feel insecure and inadequate, and really believe that you can't do it because of these certain conditions or qualifications that you don't have? Because you got to see it the right way. You saw it the right way. And so convention was a big breakthrough moment for you. That was a big moment where you left and saw all this enormous amount of successes that you built your faith up to go out there and keep moving forward. For anybody on here that's, on the fence of going to conference or plugging into the next big meeting or big event, like what would be your advice to them if they're like, dude, Caleb, I hear you, but man, my budget's tight. I'm just getting started. Or is it really that important? Should I just be home dialing? I got to fly across the country. Like, what would you be telling them if they're kind of wrestling with the possibility of not making it?
I guess a couple of things that I had the same struggles, right? So we have times where we don't want to go to certain events or conferences. We all have that. But you have to think of what are you willing to invest into? Do you want to invest into yourself, into your business? Do you just want to sit home and make more money and not invest yourself? You have to think of the outcomes that it's going to bring 6 months, a month later, a week later, even like 2 years later, to think of the
The
compounding
big
effect
picture.
that you're going to build over time by investing into yourself and doing it like, $100, $200 for a convention ticket. It's almost nothing if you make a sale or two before you go to convention, you can pay for everything. So I would just say, make it happen if you can. Obviously don't take out a loan out, I don't think, for convention, but just put the money into it and you're gonna see the results if you apply the knowledge.
Well, Caleb, I agree with everything but one thing. I think if it's tight and you can't make it to convention, I think you should sell your kidney because God gave you two. I think it's that beneficial. So like I would take a loan out. I would, sacrifice a kidney. Because the truth is this, I know for myself, if I didn't go to that first conference, dude, I'm not sitting here today. My life could be so different And most people don't realize that you might be one event away, one significant event away from having your whole life look completely different. The whole trajectory of where your life goes is really kind of held upon maybe one event. And so even for you, if you look back, the question is, and nobody really knows. Question though is if you don't go to that event, are you the Caleb that's on this podcast today that's consistently writing 40 to 50,000? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know.
Maybe not. Probably not. Because the reality is people make big decisions at big events when emotion's high and they've got such a cloud of witnesses of people doing well. I look at scripture, when you go into the hall of faith, it says like I'm surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses that I throw off all the weights, all the things that hinder me, and I
Sure.
run the race that's set before me for the joy that's set before me. And so when you're going out and running your race now, you go to that event, you got all these cloud of witnesses that are seeing success. It allows you to throw off hindrances. What are the hindrances? Dude, the excuses, the things that you've been buying into that are lies. Like, man, I just can't invest enough in leads, or these leads just don't work, or my schedule, I'm just too busy, or whatever it is. All these hindrances, because you're around such a cloud of witnesses of people speaking the truth of what they really do and how they do it, and their elevated thought process, the mindset they've got, you throw off the weight and then you get a clear vision of the joy that's set before you. Like, man, I could go out there and change my life. I could be able to impact others. I could be able to go buy my dream house. I could be able to donate X amount to a church. I could buy my mom a house. I can do these things. I can have experiences at these different destinations and vacations across the country with people I love and create experiences I never would have been able to create. You start to get an excitement. I can change people's lives by giving them an opportunity. And so now you've got such a high faith, you've thrown off the weight, and now you've got clear vision of where you're going to go and why it matters most to you. Big deal. So for anybody on here, if you're not signed up for the annual summit, I just think you should quit. So I think you should go to somewhere else. You're stacking the deck so far against yourself that like I'm a betting person. Hey, there is outliers. Maybe you are the outlier. Maybe you're the one that doesn't go to the event and you still find success. But if it's something that's life or death in this life, whether it's financial, health, or whatever, I just think you should stack the deck. Don't put the deck against you. Caleb, talk about if we look at some of the characteristics that you think are important that have helped you be successful, what would be some of those characteristics that you think have really empowered you to go out there and become this 50 to 60K a month producer?
Yeah, I think the main couple ones that helped me in the business was consistency, coachability, and persistent. Those three are the biggest ones for me so far in this business that I've looked back onto and realized that they've helped me the most.
Well, talk
Yeah,
about coachability. What do you mean by that?
coachability means, when you respect someone or you want to be like that person that you're listening to, that you take advice from, that you're talking to, you're applying what they told you instantly and testing the results on yourself and in your products and in your business so that you can see the results. And if it sometimes it doesn't fit your business, sometimes it doesn't fit you, right? But if you have to apply them instantly and do them to see if it works for you or not. So just being coachable, ego aside, and just listening to people that make more money than you do.
Dude, that's so good, bro. I mean, I think you said that so well when it comes to coachability, like having a philosophy of experimentation and experimenting, but first trusting that it's going to work with your whole heart, and
Yeah.
then looking at the result to see if it actually works for you, and then being willing to adapt and evolve if it doesn't. Dude, that's so powerful. Did coachability kind of help you with overthinking this thing in the beginning? Like, did you feel like the temptation to overthink this and over and analyze it and try to figure it out and make sense of it for based off your own thought process and the way you felt? Did coachability kind of help you think less and just move?
I don't know if I was super coachable when I first started. I definitely became more coachable as I went into it. But coachability is just, when I see someone making the money that I want to be making, you have to put everything aside and listen to them and just take advice and apply it and use it in your own books. but also take advice from a bunch of different people, right? Not just one person. Go to a bunch of people that are making the money or having the success that you want and making sure that you're being around them and plugging into it. Because if you're around people that are just like yourself and you're just getting started, you're not going to you're not going to grow like the way you want to grow. So just, being coachable from day one has definitely helped with my sales and stuff.
What changed from you to go from uncoachable to coachable? Like what happened that led to that shift?
I would say maturity and myself. Just, coming into the business, I always had a boss. I always had, like, I knew what I had to do for the day. I didn't have my self-development yet. And so when I came into the business and you're working for yourself, you have to be self-disciplined. You have to grow, in yourself. You have to grow maturely. You have to grow as a person. And so I think just having that responsibility of creating your own income, and if you don't work, you don't make money. It just made me grow in that aspect as well.
I love that. So as you grew personally, coachability became something that showed up, right? It wasn't there in the beginning, but as you started to grow and develop,
Yeah.
was that through like books, podcast, weekly calls, people that you were around, seeing how they think? Like what kind of helped with what was your personal growth? What led to your personal growth? What was the plan?
My personal growth was just listening to mostly my peers, the people that brought me into the business, the people that I was in Discord rooms with. I would show up every day, see these people on Discord 20, 12, 13, 14 hours a day. Just seeing people doing this business way more than I was and just applying myself to what I wanted to become for, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
I love that. So I mean, getting into a good environment where you can be around people that will help you develop. And I think that's an important thing is to change your circle. And Discord is such a great way to do that, where you could just hop on no matter where you're located across the country. You could plug into a Discord room and you could dial with Caleb. So for anybody on here that's like, man, I would love to listen to Caleb on the phones. Well, you can. Like he's in a Discord group and you can hop on and you can dial alongside him. And that's a beautiful thing about this business that allows everybody to develop, grow, and get better. And so I love that. Typically, for most people on here, I think just most people in general, the next quality or characteristic that needs to be developed that's going to take you to the next level, it's going to be found in your personal growth. Reading books, listening to podcasts, getting around people that are where you want to be. What'll happen is you'll start to become aware of things in areas that you're stuck. So for you, Caleb, maybe as you got around different people, you realize, man, I'm kind of stuck because I haven't been so coachable. I've not been asking great questions that help me identify blind spots. And then once I ask those questions, really taking the appropriate action to put those adjustments in place to grow. As you get around, you're like, I'm stuck there, so I need to get better there. And then you get better there and realize that coachability provides the evidence that it does work and success is at a higher level when you're coachable. I think the one thing that I heard a long time ago, and I believe it's very applicable, is that coachability equals freedom. So obviously you've heard discipline equals freedom. I think coachability also is a part of that freedom equation because in this business, if you're not coachable, you're just moving and doing things at the level of thought process that you currently have. And therefore, you're going to continue to get the results that you've always gotten.
Yeah.
Coachability allows you to say, I don't have to think about this. Like, you don't have to make sense of it. So for me, when somebody said, hey, you got to invest $1,000 a week in leads, I sat back and on my own mindset, I'm like, dude, that doesn't make any sense. I don't have the $1,000 to invest. I gotta buy food. I was just so to me, it didn't make any sense. I was trying to justify why it didn't make sense for me to do it, even though you should do it. And even though I will do it, I can't do it. But when I became coachable, it's like, if that's what they say, then I'm not going to think about why it doesn't make sense. I'm just going to do it. Because my thought
Yeah.
was like, well, maybe I'll do it, but let me just try it out. And I don't want to screw up too many leads. Let me just dabble. But then I was like, no, if I'm coachable, I just say done. If they say be on Discord, done. I don't have to think about like, well, not yet. I got to get better. I don't want to be a fool. No, no. If they say get on Discord, that's what you need to do. Done. So it allows you to stop thinking about what you're thinking about too much and just execute, which is so important. The one thing I want to get to, Caleb, and as we wrap up, is really talking about your consistency. When we look at the leaderboard, there's two different people. Caleb, you got one person that they'll go out and write 80,000 for a month and then they write 10. Then they'll write 62 and then they'll write 17. And I believe that to me that's a telltale sign of a characteristic or a quality that can really lead you eventually to failure
Yeah,
because you don't want to be too high and low. I feel like consistency is not it's not a sexy word. People don't like to be like described as look at that person's consistent. Like that's right, baby, I'm consistent. But I believe it's one of the most important words. I think it's one of the most important qualities that any human being can have is consistent with the right activities. What has built up your consistency and why has it been so important to you? And then how have you developed that consistency where you're the producer that every month, dude, is 40 to 50 every month. It's not 20 to 60, it's not 30 to 50, it's 40 to 50 every month. Talk about
yeah.
that.
Well, I wasn't always like that. Um, like I said again from the beginning, you have to learn things, right? You don't just know what to do and you're born with it, right? So that's why anybody can be consistent and you can develop that. The first, I guess the first way that I became consistent was in the gym, right? So you have to, you have to build consistency and discipline. Both, they go together quite a bit. So like in the gym, that was the way that I built consistency, going, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, just building that consistency in my life in general. But then also it goes into your business, it goes into other things in your life, not just the gym, right? If you're consistent in the gym, you're going to be consistent in other areas of your life. So building that consistency, find something that you like to do, be consistent with it. If you want to read books, be consistent. If you want to go to the gym, be consistent. You want to go on runs, be consistent. So you got to build that consistency somehow in some way in your life, so that way it can help the other areas in your life as well.
I love that, man. So for you, you feel like the gym, when you started becoming consistent with that, that was kind of like a cornerstone habit that allowed you to be or empowered you to be more consistent with buying leads, making phone calls, and kind of sticking to a strict schedule in the business.
Yeah, that is.
What's your schedule look like when it comes to like a typical day? If we say what's a day in the life of Caleb, what does that look like?
It changed a little bit now. So I used to go, so I'd go usually in the mornings from 8 o'clock, whatever state you're going to dial in, you need to be dialing by 8 o'clock their time. So 8 o'clock their time until about 11:30 their time. I would dial for those hours straight. And then I would go to the gym, go eat some food, take my little break between like maybe 11:30 and 1. So about an hour, hour and a half. I'll take my break, go work out, get some food, sh wash up. And then I would come back and make sure I'm back by 2 o'clock. And I would dial or run appointments from 2 o'clock until it was too late for the state that I was dialing in. So around 7:30 is when I stop dialing because they get fussy and they don't like it. So I'll either run appointments until 9 o'clock or dial until 7:30.
I love that, dude. That's a powerful discipline. I would just say, um, for anybody that's on here, you want to make a schedule sustainable. Like it's got to be something that you can keep doing day in and day out. And it's not one of those things where you do it one day and then all of a sudden the next day you can't do it. You're exhausted. So really unpack your schedule. What's something that you think you can keep doing day in and day out and not waver from, where you can like you have energy at the end of the day, where you're not depleted and thinking like, man, I don't know if I can do that again. Consistency is crucial, but I believe also it's got to be tied to your ability to stay in the fight and not get so depleted when you're doing it. And so when you look at your schedule, when are some times where you feel like you've got more energy, sometimes that you feel like you have less energy? What are some times that you feel like when I do this in this time of day, I just don't have the right energy to do it. Like for me, I don't schedule many meetings out after 1 o'clock because I know after 1 o'clock that I'm not nearly as disciplined. I'm sorry, not disciplined. I'm not nearly as focused. I'm not nearly as astute. Like my mind is more foggy. I'm not there, right? But before 1 o'clock, I'm dialed in. Now, do I still do stuff after one? Yeah, I'll do it all the way until 9. But I'm not going to have a super important meeting at 8:30 at night if I could help myself because I'm not going to be nearly as good. But if I can host and hold myself or do my schedule before 12 o'clock, I'm going to be in a much better position to be effective in the time that I need to be effective with. And if that's meetings early on, because that's the most important part of my day, I needs to be that. And then being aware, like Caleb, I love how you said, like, I'll take a break and I'll go to the gym. Well, some people, they go to the gym in the morning before they go to work. Maybe they go at 5 a.m. or what have you. And if that works for you, great. But you got to be self-aware and realize that, like, I actually maybe do better if I just get into the office and start dialing early, right? If I start dialing at 7 a.m., or maybe you're dialing at 5 a.m. because you're calling leads in a different area code and it's 8 a.m. their time. But then you could say, once I've made my 3 hours of just hyper focused, no interruptions, dialing, then I'm going to earn the right to go to the gym. And so it's kind of like a little pattern interrupt in your day. So it's not so monotonous. You go to the gym, you get your mind back right, you come back, and now you're kind of ready for quarter two, right? Or the next part of your day. And so I love that. I think for anybody on here, it doesn't have to be the exact schedule that Caleb talked about. Maybe for some it is, but maybe for others, the real issue is that you got to have a schedule. Maybe you just don't have a schedule. And if you do, is it changing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And if it is, you don't have a schedule. You have an idea of a schedule, but you don't have a true schedule. Caleb, as we wrap up, what would be one thing that, if you bump into somebody, let's just say it's at the gym, and they're 20 years old, they're like, man, I want to be successful. I want to do something great with my life. I want to be able to go out and make some great income, make some good impact. What would be the one tip that you would give that person that you believe would best aid them to go out there and accomplish that?
Are they in the business yet, or are they just a random person?
I would just say, like, dude, they're just wanting some advice. Like, give me some advice on how to go out there and be successful. They could be in the business, not in the business, however you want to answer that. I think both are going to provide value, but they're just wanting some feedback. Like, give me the biggest thing that's going to help me.
I would say development comes first in whatever aspect you want to grow in. So just being the best version of yourself. That way you're able to help others when it's time. You're able to make the income when the opportunity comes around. You have to better yourself first in order to better others. So that's one thing I've learned this past year in 2025. Um, you just need to be the best version of yourself. So that way, when God brings the opportunities to you, you're ready to pour into people and you're ready to, show others how it's possible.
I love that, man. I think you're 100% right, Caleb. That the best investment somebody can make is not necessarily in leads. It's not, in a house, real estate. The best investment you can make that will always produce great fruit is the investment in yourself. And that could be from books, audios, podcasts.
Yep.
Big events is a big deal. People that are where you want to be that can give you some feedback, some course correction, can help impart their thought process to yours. And so, 100%, man. And I think you did that today, Caleb. I think you helped other people today self-develop and get better. I think they're going to be able to have some handles to what to do as they step into 2026 with the goals in front of them and knowing where to step, how to step, and take those steps with more confidence and clarity to get to the business goals that they've got. So, man, I appreciate you, dude. Thank you for joining. Guys, I don't think I got to tell you, just like, subscribe, or share this. If I do, I don't think you're on the podcast the last like 30 minutes. Share this if you care about people, you want to help them. This is going to be something I think will really bring them great value. Caleb, again, dude, thank you for joining the podcast this morning, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, dude, looking forward to the success that you're going to have. I believe 2026 is going to be another transformative year for you. I'm excited to see the success that you're going to create and the impact that you're going to have along the way as you continue to do that. So, guys, make it a big week. We love you. Stay strong, be steadfast, and we'll talk to you next week. God bless you guys.